Okay, I promised you would hear from the Florida House of Representatives District 81 candidates who are here today, and they're each going to take 5 minutes to address you and hopefully convince you to vote for him or her. So first, I'd like to introduce Greg Folley.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Kathy. Well, I'll start off by saying, and this doesn't separate me from my opponent, that I love this country, I love this country, I love this country. When I was 17 years old, I was pounding the pavement for Ronald Reagan. The love of country encouraged me to apply to the service academies. I applied to all three, was accepted to all three. I attended the U.S. Naval Academy, but I ultimately suffered 2 severe training injuries, and after a year and a half, I was discharged for medical reasons. So I had to shift directions. But I went back to Reagan, and I ran the Reagan campaign at the University of Notre Dame in 1980, and was fortunate enough to land in the Reagan White House, where I worked for 7 months immediately after graduation. Not a high-level job. I was a staff writer. I was 21 years old, but it was the greatest thing in the world. Then I went on to law school. By the time I was 25, I've been all 3 branches of the federal government, plus the military. And I thought I'd have some kind of a political career, but I also had a small family and I needed to support, ultimately 9 children. And so I had a long career with Caterpillar and practicing labor and employment law. At Caterpillar, I did things like being the lead labor negotiator against the UAW. I was the chief innovation officer. I was the chief human resource officer. And ultimately, I retired leading the whole parts division, which was a $10 billion business in 72 facilities, 18 states, 18 different countries on 6 continents. The interesting thing is I got thrown into that job without any history in operations. And I figured out what buttons to push to make things happen. And that's important to remember because we're going to be thrown into Tallahassee, one of us, without knowing what buttons to push to make things happen. We're going to have to figure it out. And I've got some experience doing that. So upon my retirement from Caterpillar, my wife, beautiful wife Margot, said, we got to go to Marco Island. And I didn't resist. And it was the best move we ever made. And I've had the pleasure, after a couple years, there was a vacancy on Marco Island City Council. I threw my hat in the ring and was selected. And so I've served now 4 years on Marco Island City Council, was reelected in 2022 with the highest percentage of the vote for any 5-person race in the city's history. And what we've been able to get done there, I think, is pretty significant. In the 4 years I've been on City Council, we've cut property tax rates by 27%. 27%. We keep government lean, mean, and on a diet. That's true conservative government in action, okay? That's talked about a lot. It's not done very often, okay? And that's what we've done. We also had to renegotiate some rather stratospheric pension benefits that were there that were entirely out of line with the marketplace. We did do that, and we ended up with a very competitive, attractive benefit package and wage package for our outstanding firefighters and police officers, but in the process, saved the city about 40% of the net operating value for the annual budget with the savings we derived from bringing those benefits down closer to market. They're still above market. So I'm proud of that. And then finally, one of the things we've gotten done is we've we passed a Bill of Rights, just as the county did, in the city of Marco Island to protect against government overreach, no mask mandates ever, no vaccine passports. That's not going to happen on our island, okay? And then, with the help of Christina Heuser, who's here, we worked together to pass the constitutionally protected freedom zone on Marco Island, which basically says to the federal government, we will not assist you in any way, shape, or form in violating the constitutional rights of our citizens, ever, ever. So I think if you evaluate the differences between my opponent and I, you'll find that there aren't a lot of them on policy. I think where we might differ is who thinks they can get more done when we get to Tallahassee. I'd actually withdraw from the race and support my opponent if I believed that she could do better at that job than I can, but I don't believe that. And that's why I'm running. There is absolutely no other reason for me to seek this office. I've had my career, it's been a good one. The only reason I'm doing it is because I love this country and I want to make good things happen in Tallahassee. I hope I can earn your support. Thank you very much.